recording.
Yes. Introduce him to you, and he's a strong Vietnamese community leader.
Thank you for coming.
Tommy Hicks. Oh, thank you. Oh. Maryland.
Maryland, yes.
I'm in your way.
No, I'm sitting out of the way.
Yeah, we need more on the car.
There you go.
Yes.
I want to get in.
Can somebody take a picture of this?
Yep.
I think y'all probably watched him in India this past week, or yesterday actually. It seems like it was last week. The man works harder than we've ever seen in our lives. And he wakes up every single day and asks himself, how do we keep America great? And he's doing it. 7 million new jobs in 3.5 years. Lowest unemployment in history since unemployment's been recorded. 200 new judges, and they're all young. So that's gonna help us keep America great for a long time. And so he gets up every single day, fights for the American people. We have to do everything we can do to make sure that he's reelected. So what you guys are doing right here and right now, and what you're going to do for the next 8 months or so until November 3rd takes place, is extremely important. He knows exactly what you're doing. He knows how hard everybody in this room is working. It gives him so much energy when he sees people around the country who know and appreciate the work that he's done to help make America great again. And I know that sounds like a cliche these days, but it's actually true. You can't argue with the facts. And it's just an honor for me to be able to work with not only him, but everybody in this room. I think we got a few pictures, and can't wait to retweet them, so please do tweet them out. The RNC in Washington is here to support you guys. You've got the great state chair. Thank you so much for everything you do, Jack. Let's give him a hand. We were just in Miami a few weeks ago for the annual winter meeting, and I think the parliamentarian told me beforehand that he's never seen the Republican Party more united in his entire career, and he's not the youngest guy in the world. So I think it's a great thing. I think our party's in great shape. We're going to win back the House. We're going to fire Nancy Pelosi, and we need to. So the party's in great shape. We're raising record amounts of money, and we're going to build this army of 2 million people. We're already 500,000 or higher right now, and we're going to go knock on doors, make phone calls. We're going to have the best data operation you've ever seen before. We're going to know who to target, and it's going to make our jobs easy. Our team's going to go knock on doors as well. We're excited. We're going to go around the country and help in key districts and key states. We want to make sure that we flip Virginia back to where it belongs. It's always But it's an honor for me to be here, and just wanted to come by really quickly and tell you guys how much we appreciate everything you're doing, and hate to have to leave, but do have to go to New York, and the last flight out of Reagan is at 8 o'clock, and I hear there's a little bit of traffic this time of day coming from Fairfax, but you're late. Yeah. We got plenty of time. I may have to skip dinner though. But thank you again, and please let us know. I passed out a few cards. Roderick passed out a few cards. We're here to work through your state party and county and do whatever we can do to make your jobs easier. I think the president does quite a good job of providing a great message, and that's the track record that we're going to use to argue for people who might be on the fence. And every single vote counts. If you remember, some of us remember, we won Florida by 527 votes in 2000. So just think about that. When you get tired and you say, do I need to knock on that one last door, those two last doors, every single vote counts. Every single conversation counts. You guys are in the trenches, you're the front lines. We can't win this thing without you, and let's make it happen. So thank you very much for having me, and we'll see you guys on the road. We're going to take a brief recess for about 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll call you back in and we'll start the regular program. Welcome you to the Fairfax, Virginia Asian Pacific American Trump Victory Leadership Initiative Training. That's a long title. I am the chairman of the Fairfax County Republican Committee. For those of you who don't know me, is my mic coming through all right back there? Okay. And I'm going to be the MC for tonight's event. This is a great turnout tonight on a rainy Tuesday night, and it's the co-chair of the RNC just said it's for a most worthy cause. And that cause, of course, is training for how we're going to help President Trump get reelected, Vice President Pence get reelected this November. Needless to say, that mission needs to be the #1 priority of all of us Republicans. And so just think for a moment, what will happen to our great country under a President Sanders? Will not socialism destroy America as it has elsewhere, including most recently in Venezuela? How about a President Bloomberg? We could forget about our Second Amendment rights. President Biden? One word comes to mind: disaster. As the co-chair of the RNC just said, President Trump, as we all know, has delivered absolutely great results. Lower taxes, a greatly improved economy, a strong military, a respected foreign policy, control of our borders. I could spend the next 20 minutes listing all the improvements that President Trump has made in the last 3 years. We all must acknowledge how phenomenal he has been, and how much more phenomenal he's going to be if we re-elect him to another 4 years.
Yes.
And, of course, that's our job as volunteers, to do whatever we can do to help get President Trump reelected. He has delivered for us. He's delivered in spades, probably well beyond the dreams of any of us when he was running in 2016. So we need to keep that in mind, and we need to deliver to him in the same way. And the delivery there is helping him to get reelected and to win a second term. So with that in mind, we have a full agenda this evening, starting with a prayer from Senior Pastor Phu Hong Pham from the Coverage Viet Church of Fairfax. Just a little bit of background on Pastor Pham. He is a board member of the Converge Worldwide and the Converge Mid-Atlantic District. He is also a board member of the National Association of Evangelicals and serves as a National Leadership Director of Converge Viet USA and a member of Biblical Diversity Advisory Council. We are indeed fortunate to have a very distinguished pastor with us tonight. Pastor Pham, could you come up and lead us in the prayer?
Good evening. It's a blessing to be here tonight. And we are here to support President Trump. And he and his team will be 4 more years. And that's the reason why we are here.
Amen.
We are here to make America great again. And we are here to make America better than ever. So please stand up, join with me in prayer. Because we know by prayer, God will answer our prayer. Please, Father, in the name of Jesus, in the name above all names, we lift your name up among us right now. In the name of Jesus, we pray that you will stretch your hand and send protection to President Donald Trump, Vice President Mike Pence, all of the families, members, all of the staff, all the people here. So we pray that the angel of the heaven will stand to protect, to guide, to bless. We pray that every people in this room, whatever they need to do the thing for this country, Lord, bless them. Lord, we pray for protection upon President, Vice President, all of the staff. We pray that the angel will come and will defeat the enemies. Whatever plan they try to against our president, his family, Vice President, his family, all the staff, their families, and even all the people here. Lord, we pray that that plans will be destroyed right now. In the name of Jesus, we lift President Donald Trump and his family, all the people support him in your hands right now, Lord. Because the Bible said, when we are agreed together in your name, you will answer our prayer. So our prayers right now for President Trump, Vice President, all his staff, families, workers, leaders will be blessed. We pray that the enemies, even though they come to attack him one way, but they will run away from him 7 ways. Hallelujah. Because you are the one being with him. And no ever thing happened to him because you will bless him. So right now, Lord Jesus Christ, we pray that you will not only bless him, but bless for those who bless him and his families. So Lord, we also pray for every leaders here, every people here. We stand together with our president. We stand together to make America great again. We stand together to keep America great, better than ever. And we strongly believe the next 4 years for our President Donald Trump, and also other 8 years for Republicans. And we strongly believe you will grant us, because we are together, one voice. We pray in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Reverend Pham. Very nice prayer. So next, I take great pleasure in introducing my friend, Daniel Doe, who is the son of one of our Republican Committee's most active and effective volunteers, Ann Trudeau, who's sitting right here in the front row. And I want to thank Ann in front of everybody for the great work she's done. There is Daniel Hyde. Come on up, Daniel. He's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. He's working for the Catholic Diocese down in Arlington. Great young man.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Daniel. I greatly appreciate it. You can remain standing. We have a real treat tonight because Jennifer Gwen will sing the national anthem for us. She sang the anthem at a Fairfax County Republican Committee a few months back, and quite frankly, I still hear comments from Republicans about her singing talent, and people asking when we're going to bring her back. So she's terrific. Jennifer?
Ooh,
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. Wow, I told you that would be a treat. She's phenomenal. Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, it's now my honor to introduce to you the chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia, Mr. Jack Wilson. A little bit of background on Mr. Wilson. He graduated from West Virginia University, where he also earned an MBA. He then served as an officer in the United States Army, serving in Germany and rising to the rank of captain. He then obtained a law degree from Columbia University, worked in an international law firm in Richmond, and then opened up his own law practice focused on land use, commercial real estate, and litigation. Mr. Wilson has been active in Republican politics since his days as a college Republican a few years ago. Before assuming his chairmanship duties, he served as chairman of the Chesterfield County Republican Committee and the 4th Congressional District Committee, among other offices, as well as serving on the Republican Party of Virginia's State Central Committee, which is the organization that sets policies and processes for the state committee. So at this point, I'd like to ask Jack Wilson to come up and give a few remarks. Chairman Wilson.
Alrighty, well thank you very much for that kind introduction. I sound a lot older than I really am, so thank you all. Thank you all very much for being here this evening. It's groups like this, the Asian Pacific American community and other communities in Virginia that are going to help make sure that we win Virginia for President Trump in 2020. Are you all in to make sure we do that? Yes. Okay, good. And that's what we're going to learn about tonight. How do we engage our communities to make sure that they understand the great record that President Trump has created for America and for Virginia? And so you coming out tonight is really an important component of that. As Tim said, Chairman Hannigan said, I'm currently the chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia, and I've had that privilege for a little over a year. But one of the greatest honors that I've had serving as chairman is the ability to work with the Trump Victory Team and the Republican National Committee as we prepare for 2020 in Virginia to not only win the president's race here in Virginia, but also win the United States Senate race and pick up congressional seats so that we can send Republicans to Congress to support the president. And we're going to do that in 2020. We've got a great team in place already, and we're going to continue to build on that team with your support and other support, other communities around Virginia. And so while we may have had some disappointing election results recently, I firmly believe that Virginia is still a red state.
Yes, it is.
And that when we win in this November, Republicans, independents around Virginia will recognize that the Republicans in Virginia are still in control and that we have the right message for Virginia and the nation. And so you being here tonight will really help us do that. You know, you'll probably learn a lot more about some of these accomplishments as we speak throughout the evening and get your training. But these are some of the points that I think when you get out into your community to be able to spread the news about what President Trump has done specifically for the Asian American, Asian Pacific American community. The Asian American unemployment hit a near record low of 2.9% in October. Now, we've got low unemployment generally around the country, but in this community, it's even lower than the national averages. And so the Trump economy, what the president has done for America, has really benefited this community. In fact, the lowest record ever for Asian Americans was 2.1% just in June of last year. So, I mean, that is, in all accounts, essentially full employment in the Asian American community. And that is something that is directly the result of President Trump and many of his economic policies. And you'll be hearing a lot about these. Obviously, the tax benefits and tax cuts that he gave to Americans and American businesses has spurred the economy in Virginia as well as the United States. The trade deals that he's making around the world are making America strong in the international trade arena again. There are so many wonderful things that the president has done. We have over 6.3 million new jobs in America as a result of the president's policies, working with, at the time, a Republican Congress. Wages have grown 3.2% over the past year, which is the fastest pace in history. So again, the economic engine of the United States and Virginia is strong, and we need to communicate that message that it's strong because of the policies of President Trump. And when you look at what the Democrats are proposing on the other side, it is a disaster in the making for Virginia as well as the United States. The Democrats seem to be going as far to the left as they can. It's a race to failure is what I refer to it as. They want to bring in socialism, destroy the economic progress that we've made in America. They want to impose Green New Deal policies that will bankrupt industries, bankrupt companies, and force unemployment of workers. So we need to stand firm as Republicans in support of President Trump, in support of Vice President Pence, and make sure that we do everything we can this year in Virginia to win Virginia for President Trump. Now, earlier, Tommy Hicks, the co-chair of the RNC, mentioned that we were down at the Republican National Committee meeting late January in Miami. And what he didn't mention is the president actually flew into that meeting on his way back from Davos, Switzerland, where he was doing an economic summit, flew in and spoke to the RNC meeting. And after the meeting, his speech, he spoke after the dinner. We had a couple of seconds of opportunity for me to talk to the president, and I committed to President Trump that I wouldn't break a microphone. No. I committed to President Trump that we would win Virginia for him this year. And so I need your help. Because when I shake the President of the United States' hand and say we're going to win Virginia, I can't do it by myself. It takes all of you, and it takes thousands more like you to make sure that we are engaged with our communities and get out our votes this November. We need to educate our communities how this president has helped them and how he will continue to help them. And I need your help to make sure that I told the President of the United States the truth. So thank you all very much for coming out and be willing to spend the time to learn what we need to do to engage our communities and engage them in a way that we can be successful this November. So thank you all for being here. We've got a great program for you. And we're also fortunate this evening, because of the importance of this community, in this county, in this state, that we have a senior campaign advisor with us from the Trump campaign. And it's my pleasure now to bring up and introduce to you, who will give you some few words, John Pence. John, you want to come up?
I was just going to put this microphone on my jacket and try to walk around the room so we can talk face to face. My name is John Pence. As Chairman Wilson mentioned, I'm a senior advisor for the President's re-election campaign. Can you all hear me? Is this working? Okay, great. So I am a senior advisor on President Trump's re-election campaign. I shortly joined the campaign after my uncle, Vice President Mike Pence, got picked as the president's running mate. I'm from Indiana, born and raised. I actually went to college down in Williamsburg at the College of William and Mary, and then I was a practicing lawyer back in Indiana until my uncle was now picked on the ticket, and he's now Uncle Mike to me, but he's also Vice President Mike Pence. It's a real honor to be here, and I'm here for just one reason this evening. President Trump needs 4 more years as our 45th President of the United States. And we are really living in a tremendous time, not just for our country, but for our party. Thanks to President Trump, the Republican Party stands for prosperity, security, and opportunity for all Americans. Let's talk about what that means. The Republican Party is a party of prosperity. Now, since President Trump took office, 7 million new jobs have been created in our country. Think about that, 7 million new jobs. What was the expected number of jobs? According to some estimates, 4 million new jobs. President Trump is exceeding expectations by putting America first, by fighting for the American worker. This has created a blue-collar boom in our country, and we heard the president talk about that. But let me give you all some numbers. When you're speaking with your friends and families about why President Trump has earned 4 more years, here are the numbers, okay? Current unemployment rate is at 3.6%, which is a generational low. We haven't seen unemployment this low in this country since the 1950s. For women, for example, it hasn't been this low in over 50 years. If we go back, we're talking about a time after World War II, the baby boomer. Well, we're now in a new boom, the blue-collar boom. That's where we are as a country. Now, just kind of going down this list, the Republican Party, by being the party of prosperity, it means we fight for more growth, not more government, right? We do that by deregulating and cutting red tape. President Trump, since taking in office, he said, I'm going to cut, for every regulation, I'm going to cut 2 regulations, federal regulations. Well, he exceeded that promise. For every regulation, he's cut 22 regulations. What does that mean? Well, he's slashed over $50 billion in federal money spent. It's also, once the regulations get cut, the projected cost savings for us, the taxpayer, is over $200 billion. President Trump is a businessman. We all know it. I mean, the person that wrote The Art of the Deal is now fighting for deals for free, fair, and reciprocal trade for our country. Think about how great that is. He's not gonna take a deal that isn't good for the American people. But we're also the party of security. We know that to live in a prosperous country, we need to feel safe. Security and safety is step 1. President Trump has made America and the world a safer place. President Trump is standing with our law enforcement, standing with our great military, rebuilding our military, but he's also made the world a safer place. Why? Making and showing the world what peace through strength means. Now, I don't need to tell many of you in this room who have lived in countries that are unsafe the importance of peace through strength. Having a commander-in-chief that makes the tough decisions. Saying, we don't want a world where al-Baghdadi a leader who killed, maimed, and to this day, we see many of our great men and women from the military at Walter Reed hurt by IEDs. We don't want that leader on the face of this earth. President Trump took decisive action, despite the criticism, to keep Americans and the world safe. He's making the world a safer place by putting America first. That's why we're the party of security. We're also the party of security because our president is committed to stopping illegal immigration. Ever since President Trump declared his candidacy, he said, I am committed to securing the southern border. Because securing the border, as we know, protects on both sides of that border. It protects our communities from the illicit drugs, the illegal activity, the human trafficking, and it protects those who would otherwise, the vulnerable women and children, being trafficked across the border and taking great risks to come into this country. President Trump, by the end of this year, will have constructed over 400 miles of new border wall. And you can bet that he will remain committed to building the wall, to securing our border, no matter the obstruction by Democrats in this country, because this president puts our safety first. We also have a president. I just want to go down the list here because America first, as we talked about, putting our country first, doesn't mean America alone. We see President Trump's leadership on the world stage every day. And I woke up, turned the TV on this morning. Who was on the TV talking in India? President Trump. Answering questions, talking about, President Moody, he's a tough negotiator. Very impressed by him. Very impressed by the world's largest democracy in India. And just today, the U.S. signed a strategic partnership with India, outlining the goodwill of our countries, the importance of us to work together for our mutual interests to improve free, fair, and reciprocal trade. And it's a tremendous opportunity we have because of President Trump's leadership, showing the world that America first doesn't mean America alone. We also heard from the chairman about what happens when we don't put America first. What happens when we run on ideals that are not about freedom, but they're about free? Right now, we have a leading candidate for president in the Democratic Party who is a self-proclaimed socialist. This candidate's promising free college, free health care for anyone that steps foot in this country, a free Green New Deal. Well, we all know that nothing is free. Nothing's free. We can't take the bait. We have to tell our friends, these promises are empty promises. I don't need to tell so many of you in this room that have lived under the empty promises of communism and socialism. We've seen people make these promises. History shows that these promises are empty promises. Well, we have a president, when he makes a promise, he keeps that promise. He's a president of results, not just a president of promises. And that's what Americans want. We want results. We don't want promises. We want freedom. We don't want free. Here's another thing to remember about the Republican Party. We're the party of prosperity, security. We're also the party of opportunity for all Americans. All Americans. All means all. We're seeing the results of this booming economy, this blue-collar boom, and what it's doing to help all Americans pursue their American dream. Unemployment in the Asian American community reached a historic low in June of last year, 2.1%. Record low for Latino Americans, record low for African American, Black Americans. This economy, to put America first, is helping all Americans pursue their dreams. You would have thought when you watched that debate last week in Las Vegas that the American dream is all but dead. That's not the America we are fighting for. We came here to pursue our dreams, not be told that our dreams can't be pursued. This economy for all Americans, it's all about growth, not government. But I want to give you some more facts. All Americans also means our children. Since President Trump took office, 2.4 million Americans have been lifted out of poverty. 1.4 million American children have been lifted out of poverty. There are now more jobs for the first time on record in this country than there are unemployed Americans. Meaning there's now more opportunity for Americans in the history of our democracy. Prosperity, security, and economic opportunity. This is a promise that President Trump is making, and this is a promise that he will keep for the American people if we re-elect him for 4 more years. The president often says, the best is yet to come. And I believe that. The best is yet to come. If we do our part. We need to get involved. You'll hear tonight from our team, Esther and team, Marina, the chairmans. You'll hear about how we can use our voice, how we can tell our friends, President Trump is a president for results, not just promises. He's a president that when he makes a promise, he keeps that promise. And here are the results. Here are the numbers. I want to talk about facts, not feelings. Here are the facts. So tonight we'll get some more calls to action. We'll learn, here's how you can get involved. If you were able to make a call or 2 last week, maybe you can make 2 or 3 more calls the next week. What can we do more tomorrow than we did today and yesterday? Because we really do have a decision to make in November. And our friends, our family, this decision that we make will affect their futures and not just our futures. We can choose a party that's standing up for prosperity, security, and economic opportunity, or we can choose a party that's offering anything and everything to the American people. Which option, which choice is more sustainable for the greatness of our country? I don't need to tell you all what happens if we make the wrong choice. What direction our country goes. What new programs will be made. What promises will be made that will never be kept. That's what we have at stake this November. So I encourage you all to use your voice to share this Republican message. A message for every community. A message about prosperity, security, and economic opportunity. You know, I'm standing up here as a messenger for the President and Vice President. Clearly, I'm a young kid, right? I'm just here to share this message, but I can tell you firsthand that our President and our Vice President love this country. They love living in a place where you can pursue your dreams, where you can have the opportunity, where you can feel safe and secure to go after how, no matter How hard do you want to work? You can set your own course. We love this country. But they also know it takes all of us to keep this country great, to do our part. So I ask you, let's go do our part. And I thank you all for showing up tonight. And let's go win big in November. God bless you all. Thank you.
First of all, let's just give John another round of applause. Today, we're very fortunate enough to have him to come here speak exclusively just for the Asian Pacific American communities. We have two quick questions for John. And the first question comes from Sri-Lanka, representing the Indian communities.
John, that was one good speech and motivating. So thank you for coming out and helping us all out. As you know, this is the right time for India and United States relationships that are emerging back home. We had about 100,000 people and 7 million people across 23-mile radius looking after for president. So that was a big deal. But again, I think I'm speaking on behalf of my other Indian American colleagues out here. What next? What is one message that I can tweet out that John said on behalf of President Trump and Vice President Mike Pence that will highlight to Indians that this relationship is going to continue and lead us into some tangible results? Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the question. Thank you. Today was it's been a great 2 days for India, for America. As I mentioned, the world's largest democracy and the world's oldest democracy coming together and showing the world that these two countries are becoming closer. And there's tremendous opportunity there. I would encourage you to read what the White House just released today. It was a signed strategic commitment and partnership, they're calling it a comprehensive partnership between India and the U.S., where they talk about how both countries going forward in good faith and the goodwills and the mutual interests of the countries will strengthen economic ties, things like broadband security. I mean, it's a very detailed document that talks about how India and America are going to grow together. And you can bet that President Trump is going to make a good deal for the American people, and I'm sure that deal with President Moody at the helm will be a good deal for the Indian people. So it's a really exciting time, I think, for both countries, and we saw that firsthand the last 2 days for America and India. Yeah. Thank you.
Also, we have one last question going to be asked by Ann and Harold. Please come forward.
It's an honor to having you at the Northern Virginia, because I'm here because of your grandpa. Your grandfather was fighting in Korean War, and so that's your sacrifice and your parents did, and I really appreciate that. And as behalf of a Korean American population here in Northern Virginia, I'd like to have a question about economy and how you specifically see it as a continuation of Asian American economy issue. Can you address for that for a little while? Thank you so much. Honored to having you.
Thank you, and thank you for recognizing the great efforts by both Korean people and the American people. As was mentioned, my grandfather was a Korean War veteran, and never really talked about it, I'm told, but you know, one day my uncle, vice president, you know, they found a bronze star medal sort of tucked away in the house, and came to find that my grandfather led his platoon through a minefield and onward to safety, and was awarded that medal. And you know, my grandfather never had it out, but proud to say that that medal now sits in the West Wing in the Vice President's office. There's tremendous opportunity there. There's new trade deals being negotiated between Japan, the United States, Korea, and the United States, and of course Phase 1 deal with China. and the president, he's a deal maker. Vice President today shared a story about the president coming into meetings, and he said, you know, we all know that the president's, you know, sometimes he's pretty direct, and, you know, he'll go into meetings, and the vice president didn't say which meeting it was, but he said, we walked in this meeting, there was a prime minister there with the delegation of that country and the United States delegation, presidents there, and the vice president. They sit down, and the prime minister of that country says, you know, it's great to see you, Mr. President, family, how's the family? Oh, great, family's great. You know, and then this is the president, you know, you all are just ripping us off on these tariffs. Just immediately goes into it. And, you know, the president, they're working those things out. The reciprocalness, the fairness, free, fair, and reciprocal trade, I think is sending a message to our great allies like Japan and Korea that we can do better. I mean, we kind of forget about this, but remember the TPP trade deal? Right. Yeah. That's a thing of the past. I mean, immediately President Trump said, we're out of that deal. NAFTA, we're out. New deal, USMCA. It's going to bring projected $64.8 billion into America and create over 174,000 jobs. Actually, there was a statistic I wanted to bring up, but how many manufacturing jobs in the state of Virginia under President Obama? 0. Actually lost 17,000 manufacturing jobs. How many new manufacturing jobs under President Trump in half the time? 14,000. Think about that. Negative 17, 14,000. I mean, again, doubling, exceeding expectations by putting America first, but also knowing Korea, Japan won't make a deal. The deal's right. So with the Asian Pacific region, I think there's tremendous opportunity. The president, you know, the vice president today talked about this. The era of economic surrender is over. You know, we're going to fight for American jobs, for this American economy. We heard that a lot on the campaign trail. Well, they made good on that promise, and that has brought China to the table. Phase 1. There's more to be done, but there's a new respect for America now because President Trump's leadership. So when I said that the Republican Party is a party of prosperity, security, economic opportunity, it's because of President Trump's leadership, finally putting America first. I know I'm kind of going long on this question, but there's a lot there. It's a great question. Think about these rallies, right? And I go around the country and speak to rooms like this and go to these rallies, and we can look at the data. Brad Parscale, our campaign manager, you know, he's phenomenal with using the data and expanding the opportunity for our party. But the other day, the president held a rally in Las Vegas, right? Well, we can look at that data and see a third of the people that went to a Trump rally, on average, a third of the 20,000 people were not Republicans. A third. And in Wisconsin, 50% of 20,000, 10,000 people. This is a movement, really. This is a movement about putting America first, and it's an opportunity for our party to grow. And that growth doesn't come from this guy from Indiana, right? Again, I'm just passing along what this Republican Party represents, but it's you using your voice to explain to your friends why the Republican Party is the party of freedom, the party of prosperity, economic opportunity, security. That's the message that will resonate. I'm not going to believe what I see on TV, but I'm going to think, well, maybe, you know, maybe Matt's got a point when he's talking about why Republicans are the party for me. So, to wrap it all around, tremendous opportunity we have as a party and a country right now. as a growing Republican Party. But it's incumbent upon all of us to do our part. And I thank you for doing that.
Awesome. Thank you, John. We're going to do something really exciting. We're going to take a group picture with John before he departs. So you just need to stand up, stay where you are at, and we're going to turn around. We have some really good signs and banners, so let's take a great group picture together.